Hello, I'm Piers Corbyn from Weather Action, Long Range Weather and Climate Forecasters. And today, the 26th of April, I'm going to talk about the cold, delayed spring we've experienced in Britain, Ireland, Europe and in America. And secondly, I'm going to talk about the latest delusional nonsense from the climate change lobby. Okay. First of all, this delayed spring weather we've been having. Our Weather Action March and especially the April forecasts have gone superbly according to feedback from users in farming, retail and people just planning their daily lives. We said it would be a cold, very delayed spring, and effectively we've had a February which has lasted about 3 months. This is very extreme and reminiscent of the mini ice age type of weather which has happened in the past. In detail, the April forecast was very well carried out, and as March it was all concerned largely with the jet stream being a long way south. In March, as you know, most of the month, the jet stream normally would be going up around Scotland or so, and now it's going through Spain. So it's shifted southwards 1,000 miles, a signature of mini ice age circulation. In detail for April, we said the first week or 10 days would be generally cold, or very cold, which indeed it was. And then we said there'd be about from 10 to 15 would be a lot of rain in the south and strong winds, and that happened. And it did turn milder during that time, but no way would that be described as decent spring weather. It was like winter weather, especially with the wind. And we've been asked by a number of people, when will decent spring weather actually hit Britain and Ireland? And we said not until mid-month or just after. And I was asked by BBC West Midlands, and I said that's the time, mid-month or just after, say on or by the 16th of April. And that is exactly what happened. They had me back on and said we were spot on. Okay, and we also predicted that it wouldn't last long, and the end of the month, starting around the 26th, which is today, it would turn rapidly much colder, and that is in fact what's happening. And at the same time, we've had a lot of very wintry weather in the USA, which is again as predicted. Now, this circulation and weather is, as I said, little ice age or mini ice age type weather. In the farmers' experiences, this is the worst spring any have had in their lifetimes. And last summer was the worst summer a lot of them have had in their lifetimes. Last summer was a year without a summer, a bit like the 1816 year of no summer during the mini ice age. What it means is we are in now a beginnings of mini ice age, and these ongoing crises in agriculture will continue. If you look around at trees, or looked around at trees during April, middle of April, you could see they were naked trees in brown fields. These were February landscapes. Now things are starting, or have changed a little bit, but we're going into reverse again for the next week or so. And May in Britain is going to be an interesting month of contrasts, and I would urge you to get our May forecast. So, although it was a cold start, it does improve, but then there is going to be some catastrophically bad weather in parts of May as well. The message of the weather we've been in is the mini ice age we predicted is now developing, and there will be more wet summers, more delayed springs, more cold and snowy winters. And the global warmers have been pointing us in the wrong direction. Right, well now we want to talk about where we are at and what the global warmers are saying and how they are misguiding Britain, America and the world. It's very clear the mini ice age has begun. The crisis in agriculture makes that clear. For example, lambs were dying in thousands in surprise snow events this spring. Fields are brown when they should have been green. Trees are naked when they should have been clothed. The explanation for all this stuff from the global warmers is that something to do with Arctic ice as melting has caused this cold spring in Europe and Britain and Ireland and the USA. Now, this is delusional nonsense for which there is no evidence whatsoever. Warm causing cold is, well, let's just say scientific drill. But let's look at the details of any possibilities that they could be wrong. So, there's basically two questions to ask. One is, have we had observed in the past any relationship between Arctic ice and spring weather? So, and the second is, has this combination of Arctic ice and spring weather happened before, and if so, why? Right. First question is, have we had before the same levels of Arctic ice, and what was the weather? Well, the answer to that is yes. Last March and this March had exactly the same levels in the middle of the month of Arctic ice. Okay. Was the weather circulation patterns the same? No, they were not. Last March, the USA was hot and Europe, and especially Britain, were warm. This March, both have been extremely cold. So the idea that the amount of Arctic ice is controlling the spring weather is nonsense. At the first hurdle it fails. Okay? But they could come up with some more fancy bit about the Arctic ice not being quite in the same place or something. Okay, well, let's see what they say. Now, so next question is, has this combination of Arctic ice melt and very cold springs happened, and wet summers just before, for example, happened before? The answer is yes, it has happened before. The last time it happened as badly as this was in the last mini ice age. 1816 was the year of no summer, corresponding, if you like, to 2012. In 1817, the Royal Society reported to the Admiralty, and they said that the Arctic ice had greatly abated in the last 2 years, and indeed it was probably less, there was even less Arctic ice then than now. So we had a very similar situation during the last mini ice age of low Arctic ice, very cold springs and very wet summers, and there was a lot of snowy winters in the last mini ice age as well. Now, CO2 levels then were lower. Now, the only thing that was similar was the Sun-Earth magnetic lunar connections. Those are what drives the weather and what makes it possible for us to make long-range forecasts. Whereas the CO2 story tells us nothing about the future and is used to mislead. What we have to do is to get the message across to the public and politicians, because the economies of the world are now going to go into deep crisis in the next decade because of the decline of agriculture, energy industry problems because of higher consumption, higher prices of energy, and so forth. So I would urge you to raise these matters with your politicians, have discussion groups, affiliate to the campaign to stop the Climate Change Act, take our forecasts, apply them in agriculture, change crops into things which are more productive during mini ice age conditions. We have to prepare for what is happening, not be misguided by self-interested, politically motivated, quasi-religious nonsense, which is what the man-made theory of climate change is. To find out what is going on, I urge you to go on our website and get our forecast. Thank you.